Okay. Hello. This is your host, Ethan, and you're listening to Three Peas in a Podcast. As this is the first ever episode of this show, I will give a quick introduction about who we are, as we do have a lot on our agenda today. I like to describe this podcast as an interview conversation style show where every episode will consist of a guest. Each episode aims to uncover who they are, focusing on their ambitions, goals, and their future. I like to kind of call it students versus the real world. So overall, take this as a convenient way to, learn more about your fellow peers here at uni that you would normally not figure out. So I did want to mention, you're probably wondering why it's called Three Peas in a Podcast and you can only hear me. My other co-hosts, Erica and Kira, they were the ones with me. They were the other co-hosts who were going to talk with me. Unfortunately, they are very busy this semester and will most likely not be making an appearance in any of the upcoming episodes, but they do still help in the background. So I'm going to just keep it as Three Peas in a Podcast. I think that should do it. So without further ado, let's introduce our first guest of the show, Nabila.
Oh my God, yay.
Hi.
Hi, Ethan.
How are you today, Nabila?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm doing good. So I guess we'll just start off with, our normal icebreaker.
Yeah.
Who you are, how would you like to describe yourself? You can give as much information or as little as information as possible.
All right, so I'm Nabila. I am a junior here at UNE, a med bio pre-dental major. I'm hoping to become an orthodontist, maybe, potentially, question mark. I'm at the busy part of the semester of getting ready for dental school applications, the DAT, spending all of my money on trying to get into schools.
And how's that going for you?
It's going pretty well. I've kind of gotten to a point where I actually know what schools I wanted to go to instead of just being like, here's me, have fun, please pick me, choose me, love me.
That's so real. So I wanted to introduce a segment that I plan to do for every episode. It's called course evals. I'm sure you know, and the listeners out here know about course evals. It's the little survey that you're given at the end of the semester to describe or rate about your professors, the class itself, the workload, etc. I'm going to put a little spin on this. Tell me about a class that was either this week, last week, I don't care, that has impacted you or you've been thinking about recently, whether it's good, bad, funny, crazy, a little stupid, just anything that pops up to your head. And I don't know, just tell us about it.
So I'm taking 2 philosophy classes this semester. And as a med bio student, those are very different than what I'm interested in. I don't want to think that much about the world. I just like living in it. I don't want to think about the fact that I'm living in it. And both of those classes have honestly they've been really eye-opening, which is the point of those classes. And I've had some funny moments, but there's just also moments where I'm ready to get up and just walk out.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to deal with this. We brought up the idea of perfection. We brought up the idea of would we want to live in a world with all of the technologies of 2026, but our morals are in 1726? I'm I wouldn't even have survived 1726. I have the immune system of a medieval child. I was it doesn't matter if our technology is great. I would have still good night, goodbye. And it's finally having something that's thought-provoking, that's beyond what's the mitochondria? Tell me about the citric acid cycle. I finally get to use the social and morale aspect of myself instead of just the brain and being all I need to know how the cardiac output works or the cardiac cycle. I'm finally thinking about being a good person, I guess, and not just how to be a good doctor.
Right. Do you think it's a character building thing? Do you think you could apply it to your life?
Yeah. It feels very character building.
Is it more of a character building class than applying it to actual education?
I think it's more character building. Okay. Because it's a lot of the talks that we have are so hypothetical that you're never gonna know until it actually happens to you.
Right.
So it's I'm I can't just sit here and think you know, if this were to happen to me, that's exactly how I'm going to react. Because likely, no, it's not. It's like grief. You never know how someone's going to react to things. So it's more of like character building and like making you think about the world and like having you use, I guess, different aspects of your brain to kind of like, I guess, either invest or like look at yourself in the mirror, but like just through your mind, and not something where it's like, to be honest, I don't know where I'm going with this, but
Yeah,
like
no, I mean,
I like these classes. Times it feels like a waste of time, but like it's okay.
no, I think that's a great reflection off of it. I've definitely felt that way, and I'm sure listeners are gonna feel that way about some of the classes they're taking right now. So I appreciate the breakdown of it. So as of right now, with all this process going, do you have like a priority right now that you're working towards? I know you mentioned about like the applications, the tests, the schools that you're going to go to. Do you feel any of those are very big right now that, you know, that's testing you? I don't know how to like really word it. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I guess my biggest priority right now would just be the classes that I have. But as far as like the applications and everything that goes with that, definitely the DAT prep, because that is, it could be 3 months long, it could be 6 months long. And I know I'm taking my test sometime this summer, so June or July. So it's like it'll creep up, you know, while also trying to like actively get good grades this semester, taking like 17 credits on top of doing everything else too. Um, Probably though, it's just the test itself because it's like a 3 hour long exam. I have no idea where I'm going to be taking it. Like I could have to
Oh.
drive to a different state just to take it, and God knows if I spend $580 just to get a really really bad score.
Are you like prepared for it, or are you like like in the middle where you're like, yeah, I'm kind of prepared, but also I'm not really prepared right now?
I'm definitely not prepared.
Oh.
I mean, it is just the beginning. Like a lot of people don't start studying until about like January, February. So like I only recently like started my prepping work and kind of like figuring out how to manage my school schedule on top of studying. That's why like I waited a little bit because I was like, what if I just like can't even manage my 17 credits and then I'm also like paying all this money to also prep for the DAT and I can't prep for the DAT.
That's, you know, that's valid. Do you know, I know you mentioned the schools you were applying for. Do you want to tell us what schools you're going to, or are you going to keep that a secret and wait until you get in?
I think I don't want to jinx myself. So,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, I'm like, I want to keep it a secret because I'm like, if I say it out loud, then I'm like putting it into existence.
Absolutely.
That I'm not going to
No,
get it.
absolutely. I understand that. I mean, perfect. So with that being said, obviously when we do pass the DAT, because you will,
Right.
I guess right now, what does success look like to you currently? Are you only looking towards just being an orthodontist, right? As an orthodontist, or if you do go for oh my god, orthodontist, is there what does success really look like to you?
Um, so besides just like, being a practicing like physician, and just getting to that point where I can actually start working on actual patients, I think success to me would end up having my own practice, specifically like working and kind of managing things myself and not so much so being under someone else's supervision. That would be a point where I'm like, okay, I'm where I want to be and I am who I've like spent all these years trying to become.
Hmm. And is there anyone that's influenced you to be an orthodontist? Like, why did you pick an orthodontist specifically?
So I, like a lot of people, their story starts with the fact that they had a problem with their teeth and then they went to their dentist and did all this. And I'm someone who's lived in 4 different countries, so I went through like dentists at 4 different like stages of the world, like first world, third world, all those things. Even studying in Morocco, I was like seeing how different dentists work. And it kind of gave me perspective on what the practice was. And I've had dental work done since I was probably 8 years old. So started out pretty early, had all the cavities you could probably imagine. And then it got to a point where it was like, hey, you actually can't, I don't even know how you actively chew. And then I was like, I never thought about that because I'm 11 years old. I don't care. And so a lot of it was the fact that I was probably in my orthodontist chair all the time, like every, 6 to 8 weeks. And I got to know my orthodontist. He's known me since I was 12. I quote unquote graduated from the orthodontics office at 20 years old. And so like that was like the one place I was at all the time, I could say, was the orthodontics office. I don't even think I saw my physician that much.
Okay.
for physicals and things like that. So like I made good connections with him. Saw him go through different dental assistants, different managers. Like I watched him grow as much as he watched me grow. And I was just like, hey, I kind of actually want to do what you're doing, because like I'm not scared of the dentist. Whereas like a lot of people are like, I'm petrified of the dentist, like all the drilling or whatever, this and that. It was like, I'm not scared. I'm actually really interested. I want you to tell me everything you're about to do to me, because I'm nosy.
Wow.
So then I was like, maybe I'll go shadow and see if this is like right for me. And then I did. And, it got to a point where I was like, I can't imagine myself doing anything else.
Wow.
And even with like all my shadowing experiences at like oral surgery and also like periodontist or just pediatrics, I was like, nothing compares.
That's incredible to hear. You did mention about I forgot about that you lived in you said 4 different countries?
Yeah.
I'm sure nobody's really thought about it, but like how are like the offices there in different parts of the world? Is there some comparisons, some differences in them?
I would say there's more differences than there is similarities. I mean, everywhere is held to a different standard. Like in Norway, when I lived there, and also in the Netherlands, like their first thought was, let's just break her jaw. Mind you, I was like 10, 11 years old, and I'm like, okay, but like I'm still growing into my face. I'm growing into my jaw. Why are we trying to break it? Whereas my dentist or my orthodontist here was like, we're not even going to do that. We're just going to take you through the longest rigorous treatment possible. And have like, they put like permanent, they put like these permanent things in my mouth where it looks like I had springs in my mouth all the time, to help with my jaw and like moving it. Whereas like someone else was like, I'm just going to break it. Or like knowing I had cavities, and then like Indonesia was just like, oh, it's fine. Just eat less candy. And not so much like, let's fix this. And it's also like those places, it's like everything's male dominated. Whereas in the US, like it's actually very even. Like this is one of those like, because people are always like medicine always has like more men or whatever. But dentistry is one of those practices where it's like, I think it's very 50-50. So I don't feel like I'm, trying to like battle out another man.
Right. Oh. No, that's crazy to think. I didn't even think about that they were thinking of just breaking your jaw.
Yeah, like
to fix it.
Jaw surgery. Yeah, which is like ultimately a very good option and could work. But in my head, I was like, I'm only 11 years old.
Right.
I'm not even fully grown into my face. I'm like, my prefrontal cortex isn't even developed, and you want to break my jaw. And I'm like, mind you, at 11 years old, do you know how much I would have complained at the fact that my face hurt? I wouldn't have even wanted to go to like school.
That's a good point.
Kids are mean.
Wait.
Middle school kids are mean, guys.
Nobody wants to be bullied for their teeth. Nobody does. I mean, wow. I don't even know how to respond to that. That's like
like you don't think about it unless you get put in that position where you're like, guys, what the?
Okay. People are, I can't judge, I guess, because I haven't, like you said, I haven't been to those different countries except, of course, Morocco. So I can't really say if this is like appreciative, if that's like a I don't know if that's like a cultural thing or if it's like that's just what they practice education wise from where they're at.
I almost think it's like I mean, education's different, but like even when we were in Morocco, the dentist went to France to study and came back and practiced in Morocco. So like, does that say something about like French education, or you know what I mean?
And
like,
I know you shadowed there, right?
Yeah.
When you were in Morocco. Did you see a difference between that and Americas?
A lot of what they did was very different. Yeah, like as far as like procedure wise, those things were different. They didn't have a lot of the like tools, I guess, that we had, and even if they did, it was like the older version of what we had now. So like obviously monetarily, like you also got to think about, can they like have that? And we went to a really nice one. Like ours was like 3 floors, had ortho, perio, surgery, and all in one place. Whereas like most places, it's like it's just a general dentist office, which is like the people that just do your root canals, your fillings, more of those simple procedures instead of specialties.
I guess that makes me want to lead into the next question. So currently, I'm in a class currently. Yeah, I'm in a class currently, a medical anthropology, and we're learning about different cultures and how education like spans over there. One of them was about, I mean, it was American Western culture for like giving births and like C-sections.
Mm-hmm.
And our professor was making the argument about, do you think it's better if we go back to more like the olden days, more simple days where we're not relying much on technology? Because as of now, or what we've read, there have been like statistics to show that maybe it's better we go back in the days because we're only relying on technology, and it's not always as great as, you know, your own assessment yourself. When you were in Morocco, do you feel that it was more organized there with its more simple tools, or would you prefer to be in the Western culture of like technology and stuff like that?
I think that it kind of just depends on like the culture there already. Like in the US, we're all about being fast. We're all about like getting things
Absolutely.
done. Like we zip from A to B like it's nothing. And in Morocco, like I got to learn that like taking it slow is okay. Like you don't have to rush from one place to another. And like time honestly was a social construct over there. My God, like we had patients coming in 30 minutes late, and it was like we would go see them, or everybody would just no show, and that wasn't like a big deal. Um, and so it's like those patients, I think, would rather you take the time with them and use these like tools. And even like talking to my own dad and like my own family members, a lot of them are scared of these high powered tools. They're like, I don't like the ringing noises, or like it scares me. It prevents me from wanting to go to the dental office because I'm just scared of this equipment. And you know, I kind of see why we would want to go back for like that type of instance, but at the same time, it's like effectiveness wise,
Yeah.
I still think like there's a reason these tools are made, not only for the patient but also for the dentist. It's like the idea that like, you know, our backs could be hunched for hours on end if we're not using the proper like loops, and or even with the proper equipment. So like, and I end up hurting myself in the process, but like taking care of the patient. So it's like it feels like a 50-50 of, I don't want to feel like I care about
Right,
myself
no.
more than the patient, but like I can only treat more people if I'm also doing well.
Absolutely. I don't think there's like,
I don't think there's a good answer.
no, I completely
to
agree with
that.
you. It's a muddy area because there's no 100% like good answer. There's no 100% bad answer. They both have its own, you know, good and bad. Do you feel it has more effectiveness in like patient advocacy? Because that's what we were also mentioning, is we felt that like the new technology in American world, you mentioned being always fast, just being fast and efficient. But in regards to patient wise, there has been a lot of them saying that they're not being heard, or that they're just being pushed to the side, and maybe they're mentioned about like a certain disorder, but then kind of like disregard other symptoms because their technology doesn't say so. So do you feel that patient advocacy is more stronger when you're using simpler tools?
I almost feel like it forces you to be, because it's like you're not relying on this machine to tell you they have this, and you actually have to like, you know, use your two eyes and like, you know, your critical thinking skills to be like, okay, my patient's telling me this and this and this about themselves, how can I deduce this, instead of just relying on that machine to be like, oh, there's a crack in their teeth, or like an x-ray, and just be like, oh, this and this and this. But like those things are also critical at the same time. It's like I'm not cutting your gum open to see if you have a crack in your tooth. I have to rely on an x-ray for that. But sometimes I feel like you should at first only be simple with things. Like, you know, don't like, not everything with stripes is a zebra. Like,
That's a
you
valid
know?
point. Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like you should always make sure the patient is heard first. And then that's just like a simple analysis before going into this big thing of like, I'm just going to do this because I think this is right.
Absolutely. That's a solid answer.
You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. I guess with that being said, what do you like enjoy the most about, like, I know you're not an orthodontist right now, but I don't remember if you mentioned being are you like a dental hygienist right now, or?
No, so that's like a common misinterpretation.
Right, sorry.
No, so dental hygiene is like See, people sometimes think those are the dentists, but those are like, the people who actively clean your teeth and do like your 6-month cleanings, and they still work under a dentist, and that's an entirely different 4-year degree. Like they don't go to dental school whatsoever. They do like their 2 years of undergrad, they do their 2 years of clinicals, kind of like what you would see with nursing,
Right. Okay.
and then they practice as a dental hygienist.
So are you currently doing anything to like work alongside, like, you know how like for like PA or like MD patient care hours type thing?
So I think this is more of like a main thing, but like we can't just get our DA in like a weekend. Like I know some of my friends who were from like New Hampshire or Mass. It was like a 2-week long course, or 2-week long, and then in Maine it's like a full year. Like it's like a certificate.
That's wow.
So it's like I would have to give up a year of schooling to become a DA, a dental assistant, or if I had vocational schools that offered it. But like I'm from Central Maine, where the only like medical thing they offered was CNA, and that was like the last thing I wanted to be. So I was like, there's no sense in me going to vocational school when nothing around me, like not even within like a 2-hour radius, would offer that.
So like patient care hours isn't really like a thing that's necessary for you to go into?
No, in dentistry, it's like I've almost said that like sometimes volunteering is so much more than patient care.
Okay.
Because there's like, unless you are actively a DA, which not a lot of people are. Sometimes people, go into undergrad and they find out they want to do dentistry 3 years in, 2 years in, and then now they're already behind on that. It just kind of, if you're just actively doing something to, I guess, advance the dental world or like help people, it seems more important than the patient care.
Okay. No, I understand that. It's more like what I'm getting at is like if you're volunteering, you're taking the time out of your day to go out of the way to learn, versus where you have like CNAs, medical assistants, phlebotomists. They're only doing this for patient care hours.
They're doing that for patient care hours, but they're also getting paid.
Exactly.
It's the idea that like I'm doing this not because I need or want the money, but because I actually am like striving for something here. So like shadowing hours, like we're expected to have over 150, 200 hours, which like that's very easy to get if you had patient care hours.
Right. Okay.
But shadowing is seen very differently than volunteering. Like those are under 2 different categories when you do like a dental application. And sometimes it's also, in my thought, it's like if you're a DA and you surround yourself in like dentistry and that's your world all day, all the time, are you really like exploring the world and seeing what other options are before you decide this is actually for me? Because you're only surrounding yourselves with dentistry and the dental field. You're not you're not broadening your perspective. Like you're not a well-rounded individual because you're revolving your entire life around dentistry. But like that shouldn't be it, because that's like how I feel like burnout is going to happen. Like, what do you mean I'm 16 and I've been in a dental office until I'm 60 years old?
Honestly, that's a good point. That could be applying to burnout, and that's probably why what you mentioned is why we're seeing a lot of burnout in the healthcare field.
Yeah.
This may be a controversial question. Do you think all like graduate programs should be focusing on only volunteering?
I don't think so. I mean, you are spending the time and money to do all these things for like to even get accepted into a graduate program. You're not going to be able to do that if you're giving out your free time all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like,
okay.
I don't think there should be like you have to have like 1,000 hours or you have to have this and this and this, because like truthfully, like all of our lives are so different and we're such like everyone's such unique individuals that it's like you don't know what someone is dealing with at home or at school, that they have the time to do that, but that doesn't mean that they're a bad candidate.
Okay. I honestly agree with that. I would want to say that, because I'm a little biased because I'm, med bio. So
we're both med bio.
Right. Yeah, like our tracks are completely different.
Right,
You're more
yes.
focusing on the teeth. I actually don't know yet what I'm focusing on yet, but it's just different because I am required to get patient care hours.
Yes.
Versus you guys don't really have an option unless, like you said, depends on state-wise.
Yeah,
to
we
get
don't,
it.
but like that's not even a requirement for like applying.
Oh, it's not even a requirement.
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. All right.
So I understand, like, with MD and PA, like here they require you to have like 1,000 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's nowhere in the dental field that we have to have any type of patient care hour. I'm like, I don't even have to work with patients and I could still get in.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I completely agree with your point about volunteering. I think I will be honest, I don't volunteer much. The only time I do is when I'm in Pulse. But you're right about that. It does really show what character you are, because if you are going about your day and you're taking the time to do it for free, essentially,
Yeah.
maybe it's more of like a passion thing. Like you're showing that you have a passion for what you want to do. Doesn't have to be like something you want to stick with, but maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's something like, oh, I can cross that off my list and I'm interested.
Right.
But again, there's this other side of me where I'm like, well, like kind of like patient care hours are like important. Like you need to know what you're dealing with, what you're going to be encountering, but that also can be argued a bit with that's what you're going to learn in graduate school. You're going
Right.
to be taught exactly that. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to be taught how to use that, how do you go about that, essentially all of that. So I guess I'll leave it up to the listeners to decide what
Right. And
they want to decide.
it's just so different for every field too. With like healthcare, yeah, oh my god, you have all these like different residencies and all the things you could do. But like all of our requirements are so different. It's just
Right.
it's not even worth being like one's harder than the other.
I'm not a big fan of like comparing different occupations, because we are essentially all the same. We're helping out.
Yes.
We're all in the healthcare field. Like we just mentioned, we're both med bio majors. People probably would have thought that me and you have the same track.
Right.
But listening now, because I completely forgot, you are a med bio major.
Right.
You're going in for dental.
Yeah.
I'm going in for PA. Completely two different tracks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's crazy to think that, yeah, we're going to be learning the exact same information, but we're going to be applying it in different ways.
Right. We're like we are taking the exact same classes, and like you and I specifically, we're the same minor too. Like you and our health medicine society, and we're also both med bios, and we've had so many classes together, but like we're applying it two completely different ways.
Absolutely.
So it's like even if we start out the exact same, like a tree branch, we're still going different places.
Absolutely. I guess with that being said, going through your past and like going through what you've learned, volunteering, I mean, even through like classes here, has there been a failure that taught you something very important, or that really shaped you for what you want to go into?
I don't want to say like the basic like, oh, I failed an exam, because like you
Yeah,
know
right.
what, to be honest, you have to fail an exam to know what it's like to go through something in college. Um, but I would say I think like not dedicating my time enough to like putting myself out there. Like I also don't volunteer as much as I'd like to. Like I'm a literacy volunteer, so I teach people like how to like read and write in English, which is funny because I also only learned that when I was like 10 years old. Like I'm not a native English speaker, and yet suddenly I'm teaching other people how to speak English. And I also volunteer at like a children's museum, but then I also work at a internal medicine office, and then I work here in housing, and I work as an A&P lab supervisor. But I feel like I have like nothing that like defines me, and I'm just doing all these things to like get by. So like I feel like my biggest failure is like not actually finding what I want and what I am this entire time, and just like taking side quest after side quest and just hoping it'll get me somewhere.
I mean, what you've described is like incredible, all the things that you're doing. And that, like I said, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are like, that's a lot on my plate. But for you, I mean, it sounds really easy, like the way you put it out there, like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, like, oh, I'm doing that. If you could go back in time, would you change it? Or do you regret doing what you've done so far from where you're at now?
I don't honestly think I've regretted any of it. I mean, I did the basic first jobs is like working as a cashier at a Hanford. Like I worked as like a food service worker, and those were all character building. Like the people I met and the things I learned, even if it wasn't like dental related, medically related, nothing to do with med bio or my biochem exam. Like all these things are still meaningful experiences to me, and I don't think, honestly, even like the people I've met and like the bridges I've burned or like the new connections I've made, I don't think I regret or would change any of that, because that got me to now, and like I'm pretty happy where I am now.
Well, good for you. That sounds incredible. I want to lead into just ask about, is it true? I mean, we're both juniors. Do you think junior year is the hardest year?
Oh my God, yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
Is it because of all like the applying and the applications and stuff, or is it loads of just information that's just given to you that you have to like work with?
I feel like it's the information, because it's like, you go into college, you're gonna have to apply to all these things. So that's like always been in the back of your head of like you kind of should start looking into that. But then it's like suddenly, everyone's like, you need to go into this workshop. You need to come meet with this person and then this person, and then also you have to make connections with that person. But then make time for your social life, and then make time for your classes, and then also be sure to be involved at campus and doing these things at a club. So I just feel like it's like I'm getting thrown with the entire world in like a second, where everybody wants me to do everything all at once. But it's not so much so that like, all these classes or these applications are scare me, but it's like having to learn how to juggle all these things.
That's perfect, because that's what I was gonna actually lead into my next one was, do you feel like you're behind, even though like you mentioned you're already applying, you have and kind of haven't applied to other colleges, right? Or
Yeah, so I'm in the like one of the things that we have at UNE here is that you can be an early applicant to their dental school, and that's obviously wonderful if like you wanted to go to UNE and keep staying here, or that's just like kind of like a back burner situation. And so I did apply there, and so like I have something. I'm not like I'm out of options.
right.
So yeah, I'm like, I've seen what it's like to apply, but now I'm still applying to other places as well.
So do you feel like you're behind, because you listed like all these resume building stuff? So I'm like, well, you sound like a good candidate to me, but I guess I'm not the professional here. Do you feel like comparing yourself to other? I mean, I'm sure you go around, you're thinking like this person's way more ahead of
Yeah,
me.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
All the time.
So do you personally think you're behind, or do you think this is just like, I'm fine. Like it's just, I'm overthinking it.
Honestly, I feel behind. And I don't know if that's the overthinking or just like, maybe I feel like I'm not doing enough in the things I'm doing, but like, I don't think I'll ever stop feeling behind. Like, even if I was, right where I want to be, I'm like, but I could do a little bit more. Like, did I give 100% of myself
always,
on this?
always.
Like, so, it's like, even though I'm like, I'm at the application process, I'm doing all these right classes, I'm on track to just getting my degree here. I'm like, but what if I'm missing something?
Oh, God.
Like sometimes like certain schools, like I've been talking to my friends, I'm like, oh yeah, this school actually requires this, but it's not even in our degree, like our degree workbook or whatever. So I'm like, so if I didn't think to take this, I'm behind.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Okay. Is there, I guess I'll leave it here, but what advice would you give to your freshman year self? Because I'm sure maybe we'll have freshmen listening if it reaches them. So you never know what situation they're going to be in. But as someone who's a junior, who's been through all the messes, all the successes, is there any advice you would like to give your freshman year self?
I think the biggest advice that I've come to realize this year is that it's okay to ask for help. I have not used like Sassy until I was a junior. And like I made so many connections with like the other like peer tutors or whatever through Sassy, and just like going to office hours and utilizing those. Like it was scary to think that like I can't figure it all out on my own, which I can't. You can't. That's why people are here. That's why people have experienced all these things. They are coming out here to help. So honestly, just don't be afraid to ask for help.
That's beautiful. Brought a tear to my eye, because I can, as a junior myself, I can completely agree. I haven't used Sassy. I've actually used it once in my sophomore year. But then I never did it again, because I don't know, I felt like I was being like, not like, I felt like I was being dumb,
Right.
And I think that's what everybody thinks is like, if you're going to Sassy, you're dumb. That's not true. Absolutely not true. I've seen some of the smartest people go to Sassy for, I don't know, any class. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the misinterpretation we have with Sassy. And I feel like some people are like ashamed. Me, I'm a little ashamed to go to Sassy.
Not even lie.
But I can 100% completely agree. Sassy changes everything. And I don't attend a lot of office hours either.
Mm-hmm.
And as a junior still, I've learned to, let's pick up the pace. Let's go to office
Exactly.
hours.
That's how you make these connections for like not even just to be like, hey, I need, I need a reference or whatever, but like genuinely just to see what these people have been doing and maybe catch an interest. But also with Sassy now as a junior, I'm like, the tutors are my age. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, so like we're the same age, but you know more than me. I feel embarrassed to go see you for this when we're the same grade, but suddenly you did really good, and I'm like, not doing well at all, and I'm coming to see you.
I guess that's what's beautiful about human nature. If nobody gets it, but me and Nabila are in the same human nature class.
The nature of human nature.
The nature of human nature. So before we end it, is there anything you would like to leave to the listeners before we wrap it up? Is there anything you want to add?
I think the only thing I would like to add is, don't be afraid to also burn bridges while you're in college and make all the mistakes. Obviously, don't catch a felony or make a misdemeanor. But like, honestly, it's okay that your friends and like, or your colleagues or your things change. Like, if you become a junior and decide this is not for me, that's okay. Like, it's not the end of the world. At the end of the day, I could end up next semester and be like, no, I'm actually just gonna do like athletic training. Getting influenced by the people around you is okay, but knowing the limits of that, and yeah, change is good.
Beautiful. Thank you for listening to our very first episode of 3Ps in a Podcast. And of course, thank you for listening to our wonderful guest, Nabila. And thank you, Nabila, for showing up on our show.
Well, thank you, Ethan, for having me.
I hope you learned a thing or two from Nabila and hopefully found her as someone you can look up to or can relate to. Have a spectacular day, afternoon, night. And next time, we'll be back with a whole new guest.